everyone is doing good, happy, and welcome to Embroidery Happy Hour, where we're going to be talking about the most common mistakes that embroiderers make this Friday. So, for those of you new, hi, I'm Jeanette from Boricua Sewing and Crafts, and welcome to Embroidery Happy Hour. This is how it goes, just so you guys know. The first hour, I'm going to be talking about the topic, and then after that, then I will go down the chat and answer any questions and say hi to the whole gang. So hope everybody had a wonderful week, and yeah, I'm all energetic and I am ready to go. So why did I pick today's topic? Well, I kind of made a couple of errors this week. So and they were kind of like really common errors. I just really wasn't paying attention. I wasn't focused and stuff like that. So I made some mistakes and I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about some of the most common mistakes that embroiderers make, because if there is someone out there that is new to embroidery, chances are you're going to end up making these mistakes. And even if you're not new, you may end up making them too. And then, we just want you guys to know that, hey, you're not alone. We all make these mistakes. Okay. So I already have about 11 items that I want to talk to you guys about, that a lot of mistakes that people make. And then I also have some helpful tips also as well that I thought might help you. So the first thing that a lot of people make, so we're going to start going down. Okay, so here we go. Number one, the first thing that the mistake that a lot of people do, especially new folks, and even those that have been embroidering for quite some time, sometimes you can get a little overconfident, right? And you think you know everything, you can do things with your eyes closed, and then before you know it, you kind of screwed up, right? So it's not threading your machine correctly, especially if you've been embroidering for some time, because sometimes what happens is you try to do it so quickly that you miss a spot. Maybe you don't put it under the sensors correctly, whether you have a flatbed or a multi-needle. I mean, there's a certain, path that you have to go in order for you to thread that machine. So it is very easy for you to forget a specific spot where that thread should be sitting. And next thing you know, when you go to turn on that embroidery machine, you're going to have a mess, right? So one of the things that I really learned the hard way was that when you are threading your machine, take your time. Pay attention to the path that you're gliding that thread through so that you can make sure you're not missing any spots. On a multi-needle machine, there are several areas where we have sensors. And, you want to make sure that you have the thread lying in between the two sensors, not underneath or not on top. Okay. So, I do have a video on the channel on how to thread your multi-needle machine. I have made several videos also on the flatbed as well. Highly recommend you guys look at that. And, I know that sometimes, you can be in a hurry and you just want to hurry up and just get it done. But you know what? Really pay attention to how you're threading that machine, because the last thing you want to do is, just turn it on and then it's all messed up, right? Okay. The second thing that people do incorrectly, the hooping. All right. There are so many different ways that you can hoop an item. But the thing is, not all items should be hooped the exact same way. And also it depends on, not just the item, but also what you prefer as well. Like, for instance, if I'm working on my flatbed machine, a lot of times I like to float my items if I can. Okay. I find it easier for me to place the item on it. So I'm really a big fan of the sticky stabilizer. Now, some people don't like the sticky stabilizer, because when you are done embroidering and you go to peel off the sticky stabilizer, sometimes it can get kind of messy in getting it off the actual item itself. So if you want to float, but you're not a fan of the sticky stabilizer, which I totally understand, then what I recommend you do is use tearaway stabilizer. Okay. And what you do is use temporary heat temporary spray adhesive. Okay, one I use is this one, which is KK2000. I know there's another one that I think people use that's called 505, or I know it's 50 something. That's also another good one. A lot of people kind of like that one as well. You don't have to spray a lot. You just want to spray the amount required so that your fabric doesn't shift during the embroidery process. Okay. The other thing regarding hooping, okay, especially if you have a multi-needle machine, when you are hooping your item and you go and you place it into the machine, you have like that arm. You want to make sure that the area that you're going to embroider is clear, and you're not going to accidentally embroider the back of the shirt to the front of the shirt, because then next thing you know, you just ruined the item. Now you got to toss out the blank and you got to pick up another one. Okay. So hooping is really, really important. You want to know about, how you should hoop things. One of the reasons why I like hooping the floating method of hooping is that sometimes you can get what's called hoop burn. Now, hoop burn is when you actually hoop the stabilizer along with the fabric, and you have hooped it pretty tight. And then what happens is when you unhoop the item, you're going to get like a square. And, you'll see the area of where the item was, like the hoop. And it's like, and then it's kind of hard to get it off. Sometimes people, what they'll do is they'll spray like some water on it or something like that, try to get it off. They try to iron over it and stuff. But you want to try to avoid that, which is why I'm a pretty big fan of the floating process, especially when it comes to my single needle machine. I don't like to, I will hoop the stabilizer, but then I will either, if I have sticky stabilizer, I don't need the adhesive. But if I use tearaway stabilizer, then I do need the adhesive. And then sometimes if you don't think that the adhesive, when you spray it, right, if you feel that it's not enough and you still feel like your shirt or your item is going to shift around, and mess up, just put some pins. Use pins to also jot it down, to just make it stable. So that way, when you're embroidering, the fabric doesn't shift. Okay. So, hooping is really, really important. One of the things is not just knowing how to hoop it, but being patient enough to hoop it correctly. A lot of times what happens is that people will hoop the item and they don't realize when they're hooping that the hoop shift. And when they go and they put it in the machine and they take it out and they look at their shirt, it was not embroidered in the actual place that they wanted that embroidery design to be. So I recommend, if it is really important that you have to have an embroidery design in a certain spot, I highly recommend you print out the actual template of the design that you are trying to embroider. Tape it to the area that you want it to embroider, so that when you hoop it, you can align the machine to make sure that it's actually going to embroider right where you have placed the template. Okay. So, I've always said something that I've commonly said is, if you're not going to take the time to hoop your item correctly, the embroidery is not going to come out great. Okay, like I said, it's not going to come out where you want it, and you can end up with a mess. So there's so much that you have to take into consideration before you even hit that on button, and hooping is one of those things. So learn how to hoop your items. Learn how to hoop a variety of items. If you have hats, see if you can get a hat hoop. Those sometimes help. If not, then you can still float it with sticky stabilizer and stuff. Learn how to hoop your shirts. Learn how to hoop the baby onesies, the blankets. Practice and stuff. Get to understand how you can hoop certain different types of items in your machine. Bath towels, tote bags. I already mentioned hats, but whatever it is that you want to embroider, make sure you have an understanding of how you should properly hoop that. Okay. Now, the other thing, number 4, okay, is using the wrong needle and also the wrong thread weight. I have really spoken a lot about this topic, but there is something that I do want to share with you today that I actually learned, and it's kind of new. So I got my box of my old embroidery needles in here, and I want to show you something that I just recently learned, which I found it very, very interesting. They were talking about thread shredding, okay, or threading. When the you get that mess with the thread, it's like shreddering. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but but anyway, they were talking about what's the cause of that. What happens when your machine is embroidering and all of a sudden it starts to shred, right? One of the reasons that they said was that maybe you're using the wrong needle. If you have a needle that has the eye that is small and the thread is pretty thick, you're going to end up getting a lot of shredding because the eye of the needle is going to really be rubbing against the thread. And what's going to happen is it's going to start to kind of like shred, like peel on the thread. And before you know it, it's not going to look really good. The other thing that they also mentioned was sometimes you could have your needle in there incorrectly. Some machines have they use with the needle, they use it called a flat shank. Those are the ones that my machine uses, right? Those are really helpful because you always have your needle in the right way. But they are other needles out there that are rounded all the way around. And sometimes what happens is people accidentally put them backwards. But this is a way that they showed me that they said you could always know your needle is right. Now, of course, if you look at my needle, okay, and I'm going to try to demonstrate this to you. As you can see, my needle has a flat shank. That's right here, right? So when I put it in, of course, it's always going to be in the correct way. But if you have one of those machines that is all rounded, right, and you don't have this flat shank on your needle, okay, then chances are you can actually put the needle in upside down. So how would you know this? If you go and you take your hand, your finger, and just feel the side of the needle, you will notice that there is a side that has a little indentation. Let me see if I can kind of like show you guys. The needle is not exactly straight down. There is a side in there. There it is right there. There's a slide in there that has an indentation. Now, what it is that the thread rests on there, okay? And then it goes, it rests on the back side of it. So if you have the needle in incorrectly and it's upside down, it's going to shred your thread. And then what's going to happen is it's not going to go, it's not going to work very well. So that was something that they taught, that I learned today. And I got to tell you, I was all day feeling the needle because I was like, oh, you're right. There is a part in here, like right here. There it is. It's right here. And if you feel the rest of it, it'll feel smooth, right? But then when you get to that one part in the back, you'll feel that indentation in there. And that's where the thread's gonna big. So that indentation that you feel should be facing the back of the machine. It should not be facing you when you go to put it in. It needs to be facing the back. So that is one of the reasons where a lot of people make an error, and when they start to embroider, they get like a lot of shredding. Becomes very frustrating, and you could end up messing up your fabric and your blank. So yeah, so I wanted to really share that with you. Okay, now with the weight thread, okay, I do have videos out there that teach you guys when to use what type of weight of thread, okay? That is really, really important. A lot of times people don't pay attention to that detail. They just say, hey, I'm just gonna use one weight and that's and go with it. That will work with some designs, but it may not work with all, okay? Especially if you have designs that have very small delicate details, especially like small fonts. If you are embroidering mini fonts, you really have to start paying attention to the weight of thread that you're using and the size needle that you're using as well, because those small fonts are not going to look good. Okay, the thread is going to be too thick, the hole that the needle makes is going to be too big, and it's not going to look crisp and clean. It's not going to be readable. So just make sure that you would pay attention to that, and make sure that whenever you are embroidering, that you are actually using the right weight thread and the right needle as well. Okay, the fifth um, issue that I see people do all the time, which also causes the thread to shred as well, is not changing the needle. Okay, you have to change your needles because needles get dull. All right, and another thing that I learned about the needles is that as the needles are embroidering, the 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 area, the eye of the needle where that thread is going in, it starts to collect certain particles, right? That was something that they showed in a video. It has little particles in it, and that can cause the needle, the thread to shred as well. So they really recommend that after 8 hours of sewing, you should be changing your needles out. I know a lot of us don't like to do it. I know that, we feel like we're wasting our needles, but honestly, you really truly are not. It will affect the way your embroidery looks. Okay, you don't want your thread to start to look like fuzzy or anything. You want it to really look crisp and clean. If you use a very dull needle, then what happens is it can mess up the design. Okay, it's not gonna look its best. Okay, so especially if you're doing this for a business or something like that, that's the last thing. For me, whenever I'm working on a new order, every new order gets a brand new set of needles. Okay, and I always make sure that I am paying attention to the time and the usage of those needles, because I know they're going to wear out. And if it's a big order, sometimes I have to change my needles 2 or 3 times, depending on the size of my order and how much of embroidering those needles are doing. But for every order, I always use brand new needles. I don't skimp on that. If it's something for me, then honestly I don't care, because it's just for me. But actually I kind of sometimes do care, because I don't want to be wearing jacked up embroidery, especially if I'm an owner of an embroidery business. Let's think about this, okay? Because if I'm walking around with embroidery that's not of good quality, and then somebody asks me and go, "Oh, did you embroider that?" Yeah, and they're going to be like, "No, that's kind of funky." You know what I mean? So it can kind of, hurt me. But if it's for me, like something that I'm not really going to show off or something like that, just me playing around, I don't mind playing around with old needles and stuff. But when it comes to my business and stuff like that, no, new. I always put fresh needles, and I highly recommend that you get accustomed to doing that, because that will really make a difference in your embroidery. It really will, especially on the ways it'll come out. The sixth thing that I always see that people do, that is a big mistake, is that they don't do the proper maintenance on their machines when they should. These embroidery machines cost a lot of money. Some of these machines cost like you bought a new car. Okay, you have to maintain these machines. You got to service them. Make sure that whatever brand machine you have, that you have an understanding of the type of schedule of maintenance you should be doing, whether you're doing the scheduling yourself, or you have a professional come to your home like I do, or sometimes you can take it to a sewing shop or something, and they will do the maintenance for you. That will really, really make a difference. Remember, your machine is a big investment. These embroidery machines are not cheap. Even the low end machines are not cheap. Okay. There used to be a time when you would get an embroidery machine for maybe like $200-300. But I tell you, I don't see any of them out there today, or anything that's really going to, take you to a whole other level. If you're looking at a multi-needle machine, you are in the thousands range. Even some flatbed machines, okay, lots of money. I mean, you have to invest in these machines. They cost a lot of money. The last thing that you want is that because you were lazy, or you just didn't feel like doing it, or whatever, you didn't do the maintenance or anything, and then next thing you know, your machine starts to break down. And one of the things that I've always been a firm believer of is, when you see, if you do the maintenance like you're supposed to, okay, or if you see a problem with your machine, take care of it right away. Because if you do not, other things can break, and that little simple fix probably could have cost you a lot less. And now if you got a big problem, it's going to cost you a lot more. Okay. It's kind of like owning a house, right? You see a little leak, and you know the leak is there, but you say, you know what, I'll take care of it next year. Well, next thing you know, your pipe broke. And then next thing you know, got water all over the place. And now it's not just taking care of that little leak. Now you got a whole floor and walls and everything got to be repainted. Now you ended up with a more bigger of a mess. And it's going to be more costly, right? So it's the same thing with the machines, okay? Or the car. You don't take it in, you don't change the oil. Next thing you know, you mess up the engine and all that kind of stuff and everything. And you're just like, you know? So take care of these machines. You spent your hard-earned money on them. Do the maintenance. Trust me, you take care of them, of these machines, they will love you back, and your products will really come out good. Okay. And check your tension as well. A lot of people don't pay attention to the tension in their machines. They're afraid of it. Okay. I even see people on Facebook, oh my God, don't touch that. Don't do this. Don't do that. You have to learn your machine. Take the time to learn it. Take the time to understand it, all the functions, how it works. Don't be afraid to take the cover off and just look at the wires and see how everything seems to work. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to be the mechanic of the machine, but what I am saying is that you can't be afraid of it either. Okay. You got to do the maintenance, and you have to run those tension tests. Tension is important. If your tension is not right, your embroidery is not going to come out right. So I always run a tension test on my machines on a monthly basis. Okay. Every month on all of my machines, including my SC1900, I run a tension test because I want to make sure that the tension is right on every single needle. All right. Because I don't want to work on someone's order, and then all of a sudden I have white thread of bobbin showing up on the top. You don't want that. Okay, that's not the time for you to have issues. All right, especially if you're working on an order. So you want to make sure you're oiling your machines every day, except if you have the SC1900. If you have an SC1900, you don't oil that machine. That machine does not need the oil. They will oil it for you when you take it in for your yearly maintenance. That machine does not need to be oiled every day. If you have a multi-unit machine, that's different. Okay, that machine will need to be oiled. But make sure you oil it. Make sure every year you have maintenance done on it. Make sure that you are testing your tensions. All right. So because that's important. So remember, the machine's only going to take care of you if you take care of it. Okay. Same thing like a car. The seventh thing that I see people do all the time, and I've done it myself. Okay, because remember, these are mistakes that I'm talking also by experience. Okay, is not testing your designs before before actually putting them on your blanks. Okay, A lot of times people take for granted that they buy a design, or they give a design to a digitizer, have them digitize it, they get the file, they think they're golden, everything's going to work the way it's supposed to work. They put it on the machine, and then before you know it, there's a problem with the design, okay? It's not embroidering the way it's supposed to be embroidering, or you don't like the look, or an adjustment should have been made. You have to do that. I work with digitizers all the time, okay? And you have no idea how many times I have to send a file back and tell the digitizer, nope, you missed something, or I need something to be cleaned, or, or just adjusted, okay? I have some digitizers that I like working with because I like to actually have a good partnership with them, okay? I don't like digitizers that you give them the money, and they do the work, and then they give you the file, and then if you need to make an adjustment on your design or something like that, you just never hear from them again. Okay, so make sure that when you are working with a digitizer, is someone that you have good confidence in the quality of the work that they produce, and also it's someone that, if you need adjustments on your design, they will go ahead and make the adjustments for you. Okay, you know um that is really, really important. The last thing you want to do is just to take blanks, because blanks are expensive. Okay, you don't want to take your blank product and then go ahead and put the design on there just to find out that there was some adjustments that needed to be made to that file. Okay, and also when you are buying embroidery files, sometimes those can be kind of faulty as well, and you may have to go to the store owner and ask them to make the adjustments. All right, so all I'm saying is, unless you are really confident that the file's going to work, then, I really recommend test stitching your designs. What I did was I just bought a bunch of fabric that's really like for scraps, and then what I do is I use that type of fabric so that I can go ahead and I can test stitch all of my designs. I do test stitch everything. So if you think I don't, you're very wrong. I test stitch it all the time. I don't want anything coming out of here that's of low quality. Okay, I make sure that when I test stitch it, I take it out of the hoop, I look at it very thoroughly, because I want my customer to be totally happy with what they got. So that's so important. A lot of people don't do that, and then they regret it, and then what happens is they end up with a blank, and then they have to remove all the stitches and all that kind of stuff. It can really, really be frustrating, and and it can be costly as well, because blanks cost money. And I replace the items for my customers if they don't come out that great. So I highly recommend that you guys do the test stitching to make sure that you guys know exactly how that stitch is going to come out, and trust me, that is the perfect time for you to find out if you are using the wrong color thread, if you're using the wrong needle, if you're using the wrong weight of thread as well, especially if you're doing small fonts. Also, it also helps you determine the type of speed you should be running your machine on. Okay, some designs you can go ahead and you can run the machine fast. There's other designs that you need to slow that machine down. Okay, a lot of times people don't like slowing those machines down, but you're gonna have to. Okay, so make sure that you pay attention to that and stuff like that. Okay, all right, so now we're going down to number 8. Okay, number 8 is using the wrong type of design on the wrong type of fabric. So you know what happens when that happens? Let me tell you what happens when that happens. All right, you're going to end up with puckering, you're going to end up with a lot of wrinkles. All right, so that is something else that a lot of people make the mistake of. Okay, if you're not sure about what you should be using with what type of fabric, Google it. Okay, I am telling you, google.com, and you type in that question and you will get a whole bunch of articles and responses on what you should be doing. Research, just research it, okay? Go to your Facebook groups and all that kind of stuff. Ask, and test stitch, okay? And that will help determine whether your design is too dense or whether the bobbin is showing through. you know if you have small fonts and you can't read them because you use 40 weight thread and you should have been using 60 weight thread, that will show up there as well. So it's just something that you really have to pay attention to. So you got to make sure that that's why I say test those stitch designs, because you want to make sure that not only does the designs come out good, that you're not going to have the puckering and the wrinkles problem as well. And sometimes you may have to use some starch. Okay, sometimes you might have to stiffen that fabric for a certain design, or you have to double up on the stabilizer. So it's just something that you need to think about and stuff. A lot of people make the mistakes in that area. All right, so we're moving pretty fast, guys. What time is it? Okay, it's 8:30, so I'm doing pretty good. See, I'm trying to be respectful to everybody's time. All right, so number 9 is not investing in embroidery software. A lot of times people just buy the machines and they don't want to get the software. Well, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to be very limited in the things that you can do. The machine does provide some pre-designs. It does give you some fonts that you can play with and stuff, and all that is great. But the thing is that as time goes on, you're going to have to expand on that skill. And embroidery software is something that you're going to need. Now, they are so many different kinds out there. That doesn't mean you have to become a digitizer, but it does mean that you are going to need the embroidery software so that you can look at new designs and create certain things. You may want to have a design with a certain saying or something. You may want to merge designs. You just have a lot more freedom if you do actually go and invest in embroidery software. It is going to be very limiting if you don't, honestly. But there are so many different kinds out there that is going to, like I said last week, you got to make sure that whatever embroidery software you buy, it's something that is going to, something you can use, you understand. It can get kind of complicated and it can get expensive too. So, me personally, I chose Embrilliance, but I chose Embrilliance because I was kind of like, I had no choice. Okay. I use Macs. That's all I have in my house. I don't have Windows machines here. So the Mac only, is, and Brilliance was the only thing that works on the Mac. So I was like, okay, but luckily and fortunately, it is something that is easy for me to understand and work with. So it was kind of perfect for me. So I was very, very fortunate with that. And I do like the fact that, with in Brilliance, what it is you buy essentials, which is like the first module. And then they have all these other modules, which are add-ons, but you don't have to buy them if you don't want to. You just get the modules that suits your needs, right? If you want to do patches, you get patch, I think it's called Patch Artist. It used to be Merly, but now it's called Patch Artist. If you want to do knockdown stitches, then you can get Enthusiast module. So, that's what I kind of like about it, is that you don't have to buy like the whole thing. There are some embroidery softwares that can cost over $2,000, but then there are some that are a little bit on the cheaper side. Okay. I believe the Embrilliance Essentials is probably going around like $139 right now. I'm not sure, but to me, it's pretty inexpensive, and it's something that if all you do is just buy the first module, there's so much you can do with it, So, but in getting embroidery software is going to be a must. It is something that, people will eventually have to invest in, unless all you want to do is just use what is on the machine and just buy the embroidery designs. But you got to make sure that they fit in your hoop. And it's going to be, I'm not saying you can't modify them in your machine. You can, but I don't know how simple it is. Some machines make it simple. Some machines don't. If you have one of those real big expensive machines, you'll have a bigger screen that maybe that will make it easier. My flatbed machine is the SC 1900. It has a screen, but it's not that big, right? So I prefer to do all of my editing and my embroidery designs on Brilliance, save it on a USB, and then I just take it over to my machine. That's how I do it. But yeah, embroidery software is something that I say, I highly recommend that people um invest in. But that's a personal choice. It depends on how far you want to go with embroidery, right? But if you are someone that wants to do this as a business and stuff like that, then I highly recommend that you look into one of them, because that's only going to help you grow. Okay. All right. So number 10 is not learning how to say no. Okay. You know your skill level. You know what you are good at. You know what you can do. Okay. You also know what you haven't done, and you also know what you haven't tried, and you also know where you need more practice in and more work. Okay. Knowing all of that, okay, which I know I said a mouthful, if someone comes to you with something that you don't feel comfortable embroidering, or you just really, you've done it before, but you just, it didn't come out good, or whatever it is, okay, say no. It's okay to say no. You don't have to say yes. I will say there was a time, okay, when I first started my embroidery business, okay, especially during the holidays, where everything was a yes, okay, because I was like, I didn't want to lose the business. I wanted to do well, and I wanted to get more customers and stuff. So no matter how saturated my schedule was, I was like, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. Well, guess what happened? I burned myself out. I burned myself out. It was something that I loved doing, that then I started to be so exhausting that I would get up in the morning, wouldn't want to turn on the machine, all because I couldn't say no. Now I have no problem telling people no, okay? Because it's about me. Okay? I have to put myself first. I want to enjoy my time in these four walls. Okay? I love coming in here. I want to continue to have that feeling. Okay? I want to have time with my machines, and I want to explore doing different types of embroidery. I want to enjoy what I do. So now what I do is I schedule people. Okay. I don't go just say, oh, okay, you want this? Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no. I mean, the first Christmas that I started doing embroidery was awful, because I had people coming with last minute gifts. I was getting no sleep, and I still work full time. Okay. So it's not like I can embroider during the day. All right. So when I got home from work, I had to go ahead and keep working, because I would just come home, change clothes, and start on these machines. And because I didn't say no, and because people were like, oh, can I have it tomorrow? Can I have it in 2 days? And stuff like that. Well, guess what? Jeanette couldn't sleep, because Jeanette had to keep those machines cranking, okay? Because I had to get these orders ready for the customers the next day, because I didn't want them to come out and say anything. You know what I mean? But now I have no problem saying no, because to me, I look at it like this: if I do not take care of myself, I'm no good to anybody. Okay. So I have to come first all the time. So yeah, will I lose some money doing that? I could potentially lose the money. But the thing is, to me, this is something I like doing. I love doing it. I love creating new stuff and designs and stuff like that. I think that's more fun. Okay. I actually like the Etsy stuff, kind of fun, but I like the local stuff too, because that's kind of challenging, because that's custom embroidery, right? When I do my Etsy stuff, a lot of that stuff is stuff that I've created, and I do it over and over and over and over again. It's basically the same thing, right? It's stuff that, it's designs that I have, that I can embroider all that stuff, and I have the blanks, right? the towels, the dinner napkins, the baby blankets, it's all repetitive. But when it comes to the local sales are not repetitive. The local sales are very, very different. Not all local sales are the same. So, when I have a business owner that comes to me and asks for a logo or stuff like that, I have to look at the logo, look at the color changes. I have to look at the stitch count. I have to see how long it's going to be underneath my needle. It's going to, there's a lot of things that I have to think about, and and calculate the price and all that kind of stuff and everything. So it's more complicated. It is more complicated, but it's more time consuming. And not only is it more time consuming, what I like about it is that it's always different. It's never two people coming to me with the same thing. So I actually like doing that. Okay. So, just something, to think about, guys. Saying no is really, really important. Learning to say it, feeling good about it. You don't have to feel guilty. Okay, if somebody comes to you with a last minute gift, I mean, it's last minute. I mean, you got to sleep, right? So, just always make sure you guys take care of yourself. Okay. All right, so what do I have here? Oh yeah, number 11, which I kind of already briefly mentioned it to you, but I'm going to say it again because sometimes a lot of people kind of are like, why would I want to do that? Okay, but you have to. The speed of your machine, okay, which is number 11. The speed of your machine. You really have to pay attention to that. I know that these machines can go super fast. Okay, you got some machines that can do 1,500 stitches a minute, some 1,000, some 600, some 800. All these different, depending on the machine you have. Some of them go super fast, and they all have the limit as to how fast the machine can go. That doesn't mean that that's the speed you should go. Okay, now, can you do it? Yeah, you can. But the thing is, I like to focus on the quality of the embroidery. Okay, I like the embroidery to really look crisp, clean, very sheen, very, I like it to look really nice. I don't want any loose hoops. I don't want any skip stitches. I want my small fonts to be readable, so sometimes you have to know at, when you should go fast and when you can go slow, or you should go slow. Okay. Machines can be set up where in certain parts of your design you can embroider on top speed. If you have a certain area of your design that needs to go down a little slower, then you can set that up on the machine. There is a way that you can do it on the Brother 1055X. I don't believe I have a video on that, and I just went ahead and I did design where I had to slow down. As a matter of fact, that's the video that I definitely should do so that you guys can learn how to slow down the machine. Or how to set it up. So that way you don't have to stand over it. Okay. Because I noticed that sometimes what happens is people, when they go to embroider it, what they'll do is they'll say, okay, I'm just going to wait. And then when it gets to that needle, I'll stop the machine, and then I'll lower the speed of the machine, and then I'll restart the machine again. You can have that all automatically happen in your Brother machine. So if you have a Brother 10 needle or 6 needle, I will show you guys how to do that. I'll put a video out there so you guys can learn how to do that. If you have the SC 1900, you don't have that capability. You just have to go to your settings, and then maybe what I'll do is I'll do one video, and then I'll do the 10 needle, and then I'll show you guys how to slow it down on the single needle. I think I have a video on the SC 1900 and how to slow down that machine, but I'll put it in all in one that way you guys, whatever, if you have one or the other, then you'll know exactly how to make the adjustments on your machines for the speed. But that is really, really important, because that will really determine how good your design's going to come out. Okay, you know, a lot of times people don't want to slow down the machines because they're always in a hurry. And you know, my answer to that is, you know, you have to make sure that you know, that you really pay attention to the details of your design, and that, you know, you really, you know how it should be embroidered, because you really want it to come out looking nice. You know, I mean, if you're in a rush, then maybe you shouldn't be embroidering that day. That's how I kind of see it. Because to me, it's all about quality and stuff. Now let me give you guys some helpful tips. Doing pretty good. It's 8:46. All right, some helpful tips, okay? If you know, to help prevent you guys from making certain mistakes. Sometimes what happens is you could get into a situation when you're embroidering something, where you have a project and you want to do it, but you're not sure about what stabilizer, what needle, what thread, whatever, right? There are lots of articles out there. But one of the things that I always do, and you know, I mean, it's like google.com, okay? Go to google.com, and all you got to do is just type the question, okay? Just type the question, you know, and you would be amazed at how much information is out there. Either somebody did a video about it, or there's an article that you can read about it and stuff. So, you know, I mean, you would be amazed at how much information is out there. So, you know, that's one thing that I always tell people is, don't be afraid to go out there yourself and do your research and stuff like that. Okay. The other thing that I tell people, you know, is for you to be able to learn about mistakes, common mistakes, and you know, and learning the mistakes from others. Okay. Join some groups. Okay. As you can see, we have a fabulous group right here. Okay, every Friday night we always get together. I always talking about a topic and stuff, so we can learn from each other. Okay, so you know, join a group, go to a sewing shop. Sometimes sewing shops have they have great people that work there. If you have an issue or a question, ask them. A lot of times they more than happy to share their experience with you. Sometimes they even have sewing clubs in these sewing shops. Okay, if you're lucky, if you know, because I got to tell you, they're closing a lot of sewing shops lately. I mean, hell, we just lost Joanne Fabrics, right? I think they're at 90% off right now, but I'm like, oh, can't believe it. So, but yeah, times are changing. So if you are fortunate enough to live by a sewing shop, then you know, stop by there and you know, say hi to them, and you know, and talk to them and ask them questions, and you would be amazed at the knowledge that those folks have. And if they have a little club that where they meet once a month or something like that, join it. It would be lots of fun. You get to meet other people, and if you have issues and stuff like that, you get to ask them questions and everything. So, you know, I mean, don't be afraid to do that. Also, you know, go to the Facebook. Facebook has a lot of sewing groups where you can go and you can ask questions, and you will be able to scroll down the group and you'll see other people asking questions and getting advice, and you can learn from their questions. So, you know, I have a Facebook group which is Embroidery Happy Hour. Um, and you know, I forgot the name of my Adventures. I forgot the name of my Facebook group. Ain't that something? So anyway, but join them, okay? And you know, also look out to see if maybe they have a sewing community around your local area, right? Sometimes they have people that they just like to get together and they like to quilt together. They have little workshops, little retreats and stuff. You know, I know that we have the sewing and quilt uh, thing that I go to every year. You know, they have all these little what, oh man, I'm getting tongue tied. I'm forgetting what is that. Let me see, the Sewing and Quilt Expo. There you go. That one that I go to. I love going to that. They also have different types of conventions where people go and and a lot of times those conventions are pretty cool because you get to see new products that they're coming out with. And it's not, and I'm not talking machines. I'm talking about new products like stabilizers, new scissors, new different types of fabrics and all that kind of stuff. And they have classes where they teach you stuff. So don't be afraid to go to those things because those things are pretty um great. You don't have to like take a class if you don't want to, but you can go just for the day and just walk around and and see what they have. And stuff because it's actually pretty good. The only bad thing about going to those things is as much as you tell yourself you're not going to spend money, you always end up spending money. That's what happens to me. Okay. Because the last time I went, my sister came and oh yeah, we spent a lot of money. So, and we would both say we weren't going to spend anything, but we had a great time. I tell you, I really love that. That was like my favorite because me and my sister don't really get to spend that much time together because we're both in two different states. But to have her come and fly out and then for us to go to the quilt show together, I was like really happy. That's a memory I'll always have. The third helpful tip that I have for you guys is please practice. A lot of times people think that embroidery is just all about the machine. No, it is not. Okay. There is so much that has to happen before you hit that start button. You got to make sure that you learn. And the only way to learn is for you to practice. And when you practice, that's when you're going to see your mistakes. And that's how you're going to learn and you're going to get better. A lot of times people don't want to practice. They just want to take a design and put it on a product and just go with it, right? Well, it's great. If it works great, then okay. But then you're gonna be mad if something happened, okay? Because you didn't test it, you didn't practice on different types of material, you didn't practice using different types of stabilizers. I mean, that's really the best way to really learn because what ends up happening is that you start to understand why certain fabrics don't work with certain designs or why you shouldn't use certain types of stabilizers with certain types of fabrics. Like you shouldn't use tearaway stabilizer if you're embroidering on items that you're wearing, okay, because that's going to get washed a lot. Stabilizer is going to dissolve in the washer and then it's going to lose that stability. So you should always use cutaway when you are embroidering on clothing that's going to be washed a lot. Certain types of fabric you can use tearaway, like jeans. Jeans is a very tough type of fabric, so that can use a tearaway. So, but these are things that you learn as you start practicing, and it really starts to come to you. So, those are some of the hints that I have for you. And let me see. Yep, I think I covered everything. Oh my God, I got 6 minutes left. All right, guys. So I wanted to share that with you guys because I did make a couple of mistakes. Let me tell you one of the mistakes that I made, which like pissed me off, and I had to I didn't throw away the baby blanket, but I couldn't use it. So what I'm gonna do is with the baby blanket. Hey Mello, you wanna say hi to everybody? There you go. Okay, boo boo. Yeah, you make your cameo. He's gotta make his cameo every week, everybody. All right. So anyway, I'll keep petting him here. So anyway, I had to embroider a baby blanket, and what I did was I put the color of the thread on the machine and I knotted it, but I forgot to thread it through the machine. The old color was still in there. So when I went to start embroidering, I walked out of the room, and when I came back, I was supposed to be embroidering in pink, and I had took the blue thread out and I cut it, took the pink thread on the machine, knotted it, and then I forgot to actually thread it all the way. And what happened was on the design, it embroidered blue. And then when it got to the knot, okay, it stopped. The machine stopped because, of course, the knot could not go through the eye of the needle. And then when I went to look at it, I was like, oh, it wasn't supposed to be blue. It was supposed to be pink. And I didn't want to go through the trouble of taking out all that thread, even though I probably could do it. I could go and unthread it. But I have so many of them that what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut up the blanket, and then I'll probably just like use the fabric to like maybe do a makeup case or something, there's, or maybe I'll just I can cut that piece out, and then what I can do is I can, just use the blanket to maybe, I don't know, create a pillow or something. I could do something, because I don't like to throw them out because you never know. You can use them for scraps or something like that. So, but common mistakes. We all make them. We all make them and stuff, I mean, I still make mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. People that have been embroidering for years make mistakes. So, if you're new and you made a no big deal. Just That's okay. Just learn from the mistake. That way the mistake had some type of value and you're gonna be fine, and stuff. So just wanted to share that with you guys. So let's see. I am going to go up, say hi to you guys now, because now we're in chat mode. And yeah, so anyway, guys, if you did like this topic that I picked for this Friday, please give me a thumbs up. And even if you have an idea of a topic that you want me to cover, put it in the comments of the video. That way I can do the research on it and stuff like that, and then I can do an embroidery happy hour, and then we can learn together. Okay, so I'm gonna go down, and I saw Bob hit the first on the chat this week for the second time. Okay, how you doing, Bob? Hey, Bernardino, how you doing? Hey, Tina. Hey, Jeanette, hope you and Mello are having an amazing night. Can't wait to hear tonight's episode. Oh, thank you. Yes, we are. We are. I am on it today. I feel pretty energetic too. I feel really, really good. All right. Hey, Niall. Hi, Niall. Niall Brown. How you doing? I see SK in the house. How you doing? Hi, Peggy. How are you? I see Iris. How are you, Iris? Marsha is in the house as well as Jackie. How are you? Crafty Puerto Rican is here. How you doing, girl? Hey, Becky. How are you? How you doing? And I see Baby Giant as well. How are you? Oh my goodness, somebody got a new car. Congratulations, Marsha. She just left the Honda. She'll be getting her new Pilot tomorrow. All right. Enjoy that new car smell. Yes, Iris. Yep. Marsha, don't you fart in that car now, because then the car smell will be gone forever. Okay. So make sure you do it outside before you get in the car. Okay. Hey, Nancy, how you doing? For those guys don't know, this is my sister Nancy from Get Size Cute, and she does her lives on Saturdays at noon. Make sure that you watch her. And then also, my friend, the Crafty Puerto Rican, this is another channel. She is pretty cool too. She does a lot of different types of crafts like sublimation and embroidery as well. She is pretty cool to watch as well. Two of my favorites. Hey Iris, how you doing? Hey Joanne, how are you? How you doing? Yeah, Marsha got a new set of wheels. That's exciting. It is exciting. And I always buy new cars as well, but I am one of those that I will drive that car till like the bottom falls out. Okay, I mean, I hold on to cars forever because I know that as soon as you drive it off the lot, it kind of loses some value. Those things never go up in value, but I want to make sure I get every single dollar's worth in that car. So I'm one of those. So I won't be getting any new cars soon because my cars seem to be okay. So yeah. So Let's see. Let's see. Hey, Black Doll Shelby, how are you? How you doing? Hey, Darlene, how are you from Connecticut? Sassy, how you been? I haven't seen you in a while. Um, Hey, Susan, how you doing? Do you know what material is best for patches? Susan, I use twill. That's what I use. I use twill. You can get twill from Hobby Lobby, which reminds me too, because last week I was using patches on twill, and I was buying them from Satchels. They're pretty expensive, but Bob told me that they sell twill in Hobby Lobby. So I do have to go there because I'm running low on black and white. And I always like to have them in stock. He says they don't have too many colors there, but that's okay. I mean, sometimes you just see the basic colors. So as long if they do have the basic colors, then I'll probably just be fine with that. So I'm going to be heading there tomorrow to get some twill because I do need twill. But that is what I use. And I don't know if Bob has something because I know Bob is out in the chat and he's like the patch master. Okay, so I don't know if there's some other type of material that he recommends and stuff like that. So, and I'm gonna start getting heavy onto the patches because I like the patches. I don't know why. I think they're pretty cool. And I like that you can do it on the jackets. You can sew them on hats. You can do almost everything. So yeah, I'm gonna be playing around with some patches and stuff. That's what I like to do. I prefer to print the design. I like printing the design. I always feel that printing the design is like a solid it's a solid way to know that your embroidery is actually going to embroider exactly where you place it. I always print out the template as well. I always do. Let's see, I'm going down here, going down. Let's see, I see people saying hi to each other, which I think is like so cool. It's like we have our own little group, our little friends. Let's see. Yes, last week I used twill for patches. It's also called, there's also, oh, there you go. Badge Master at EST. I'm gonna try that. Let me write that down. I have not heard of that. Badge Master. Because I really want to start playing around with patches and I want to try using different types of products and everything. Yeah, I used the twill, but I wouldn't mind exploring other things as well. So, yeah. Another heirloom blanket with the rabbit. With the rabbit. Yeah, and this is another thing. I'm glad you made that comment, Marlene. Some of the things that I notice is let's talk a little bit about embroidery designs. I know it's not about today's topic, but let me, because she mentioned that, and then I remember Marlene had posted in there saying, if I only would have known, right? Sometimes when you go to these embroidery design websites, right, you'll see these embroidery designs and they look beautiful, okay, because there's like so much detail in them and stuff like that. Be very careful with those designs. I'm not saying that they're not good or anything like that, but as you can see, what Marlene is saying right now is she went and she got a rabbit design, and it's 49 minutes long to embroider. Okay, and it probably has a lot of color changes in it as well. Now, I'm sorry, 93 minutes long. That's over an hour. Okay, so we're talking about 60, an hour and a half. So that blanket is going to be under her needle for a whole hour and a half. That is a long time to be under the needle. So I hope, Marlene, that you're pricing that accordingly, okay? Because a lot of times what happens is you get these designs, they take so long to embroider, and it's sometimes not worth it, So just so you guys know, when I'm looking at designs, unless it's a design for me, I'm not going to embroider a design that's going to take me more than 45 minutes. All right. Um, it may be a 50 minutes or whatever. But you got to be very conscientious of that. Be conscientious of the designs that you pick and how long they're going to take to embroider, because time is money. Okay. So it looks like she got another order for that rabbit blanket, which is cool, but I just hope you are pricing that blanket accordingly and that you're not like giving away your time, because that can get costly. That can get, really, really costly and stuff. But have fun making it though, just enjoy the process, but it's just something that, when I saw that, I was like, yep, that's one of the things that I learned was, you really have to pay attention to the stitch count when you are buying embroidery designs, because of course the higher the stitch count, the longer it's going to be on your machine. So, you got to be conscientious of that. Okay. And Iris says, I'm glad my machine uses the flat shank. Yeah, I mean, but it's really funny because I didn't know about that edge of the needle. I've always felt it, but I didn't understand it. And then when someone brought that to my attention, they said that part of the needle where you feel that indentation, that needs to be facing the back of the machine. Because if it doesn't, then you're gonna get some shredding. And I was like, oh, okay, I did not know that. Yeah. So, hey, pretty eyes, how are you? How you doing? Um, let's see. Going down. Hey, Linda, how are you? Have you done a video or can you do one on how to test the tension? Right now, mine is at 0. Yes, Linda, I do have a video on the channel on tension. So if you go to my channel and you just type tension, you will see the I did one on the multi needle and I also did one on the SC 1900 as well. Let's see. Hey Joyce, how are you? How you doing? Hey Java Creations, how are you? Hey Deborah, I didn't see you guys on the chat. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to skip over you guys. Been very happy with my affordable and a good turnaround. Yeah, you got to make sure that you are working with a really good, reliable digitizer and stuff. Okay. Hey Jenny, how are you? How you doing? Let's see. Do you have a TOA digital gauge? If so, do you have a video on how to use it? I do have one. Let me see if I can find it. I know I bought it. Bing. I do have one. Let me use the damn thing. All right, I'm going to take it out of the box. I bought it, and why did I buy this? I think I bought it because I wanted to know how to look at this. This thing is already, it's still packed. You believe that? For you guys that don't know what it looks like, this is what it is. But I do have it. And what it is, it's supposed to show you the tension. Okay. So I will figure this out, because pretty eyes, I got a feeling that maybe you got it and you just don't know how to use it. I will do it. You know what? You just gave me my homework for the weekend. And I will figure it out, and then I will do a video on it and then show you guys. Because I remember I bought it for a reason. I know why. I dropped a bobbin case. And when I dropped the bobbin case, I think it messed up the tension on the actual case. So I was like, how the hell do you fix this? And then I saw a video on this, and then I got it. But then what happened was Justin showed up, and then all I had to do was screw it. I mean, the screw on the bobbin case got a little loose, and I just needed to screw it. So I was like, oh, and then I bought this. But this is a bobbin case tension gauge. And it's supposed to like help you and stuff like that. So I have this, and then where's the instructions? Oh, okay, the instructions are in here. Oh my goodness, I hope they have an English version. Oh, they do, because all I saw was this, and I'm like, uh-oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to figure that out because I can't read Chinese. So okay, so they have one side Chinese, one side English. So yeah, okay, so I will, how to use it, pulling the thread, adjusting it. Okay. All right, so Pretty Eyes, you gave me my assignment this weekend. I'm gonna mess around with this, and then we're gonna figure it out. So yeah, so I'm gonna leave this out because I want to play with this, because heck, I bought it. I bought it, so I should use it and stuff. So I'm gonna write that down as another assignment video on how to use it. Okay. All right. Okay, and I gotta go to Hobby Lobby too. I'm over here writing down my list while I'm hanging out with y'all. For 12. I need my 12. All right. Let's see. Perfect example of it. One, my client was a beautiful bow on a fuzzy blanket. The design was sketch. I recommended for her to pick another design, which she agreed. Yep, and that's another thing too. Sometimes people don't know, when you test stitch a design, sometimes you think it's going to look a certain way, and then when you go and you embroider it, it actually looks a little bit different. Sometimes you think it's a full embroidery design, and then it's kind of sketched, and it has sketches when you have little spaces between the stitches, and it's not really the style that you're going for. So you should always, always, always test them. Hey, Alyssa, how are you? How you doing? Hey, Tina, is there a tool that you can buy that checks your tension? I recall the name and what shop it sells it. This is it. This is one. There's a tension gauge, Tina, and I'll figure this out. And do a video on that and stuff. But I do have there also another thing there, without using this, if you want to test the tension on your machine, you can use the machine itself. The videos on how to do that is already on the channel. Okay. So, you can do that. Okay. This is really mostly to help with the adjustment of the case, but and it's mostly for these types of cases, for these. Okay, you would just pop that in here, and then you got to thread it, and then you pull, but you pull because you're supposed to make sure that it's not too tight, not too loose. Okay, and you want the thread to be able to, kind of like, not too. Oh, I think I have mine too tight. Okay, I'll have to check mine. Oh my goodness. Okay, I think that's too tight because I think it's supposed to go down a little bit, and it's not going down. So gonna run some tension tests. Maybe I'll do a new tension video and stuff. Sometimes it's good to have several videos of the same topic and stuff, because you never know if when you filmed the first time that you forgot a step or two and stuff like that. So hey Beth, how are you? How you doing? Thinking, and maybe someone here knows what I'm talking about. Oh, I have to watch his yeah, I think he might have done something with the tensions too. Haste makes waste. Hey Town Mama, how you doing? Hey Rita, how are you? My sewing deal used a white and black felt, not the stuff that Joanne says is better quality, thicker, to do tests or samples. you can actually test on almost anything, you know. I mean, I use the cheap fabric that I get from Walmart and stuff because I just want to see how the design's gonna come out, you know, and stuff. So yeah, but I rarely run my machine above 400 stitches, but I also digitize and I can adjust very tiny details as often as I like. See, lots of people slow down their machines. And so, um, you ever break needles on baseball hats? I'm about to try one. I'm worried about the ditch. Oh, you worried about this right here, the ditch thing? No, I have not. But I will tell you this, Bob. When I am doing the baseball hats, I don't run my machine fast. I don't. The most I go is about like 700 stitches per minute. You know, but I have never broken a needle on the machines. Now, on the baseball hats, I use sharp needles. Okay. I have used ballpoint, but everywhere that I've read, they always say to use the sharp. So, you know, I use those, I think it's called metrics needles. Hold on, I'll show you. These are the ones that I've been using. Here it is. Because these are sharp. These are sharp needles. They're not organ needles. But I have been using these for my baseball hats, and they seem to work well for me. You could use the ballpoint depending on how tough the hat is. You know, how soft. If it's a soft one, hold on, I'm getting it out of the package so I can show you. You could get these off of Walmart and stuff, and they're a good brand. They're very you know, they've been around the block, but the micro Rex needles, and it's an 8012. But yeah, I've been using these for the hats, and they seem to work really well. You know, so, and I've never broken. But if you could use a 7511 too, if you have a ballpoint, um, you know, but it's like everywhere that I've read, they've always said use a sharp, but a ballpoint works too, because there have been times when I forgot to change the needle and I kept the ballpoint on there, and then it just embroidered pretty good. I never had an issue and stuff. Let me close this up because those are the needles, and sometimes if a drawer is opened, Mello can get a little nosy, you know. Those are dogs, you know, so they always get in there. Let's see. What happened to don't walk away from the machine? I walked away from the machine. That's what happened, Iris, and I shouldn't have did that. I learned. I learned because if I didn't walk away from the machine, if I didn't hit go and walk away, I would have known that it was embroidering the wrong color. Yeah, but that is something that's something true too. But you know, in all fairness, yeah, Iris is right. You really shouldn't be walking away from the machine too often, because you want to be able to catch it. And this is the other thing that I've learned with all the experience that I have with embroidering. You learn the sounds of your machine. Okay, I can tell when it's having problems stitching because of the sound, right? I know these machines so well that I know what a healthy sounds like. And whenever I hear like the rhythm of the sewing is off, I already know that I have maybe it's a needle break, maybe it's the thread shredded or something. So you kind of get to know your machine and how it's working and stuff. But yeah, you shouldn't really be walking away from the machine. You're right. I did, and I messed up. Let's see. I found that poly, that's what it is that you use. I have to look that up. Poly poplin is half the price of the cotton twill. It's just as thick. So I picked some of that up. I'm gonna have to try that too. I'm gonna have to see, where did you pick it up though from, Bob? I wonder where you got it from. Hey Rita, how you doing? Hey Erica, how are you? Are you having a beer, Erica? I'm so happy for Erica. She's free. Erica is going to do her business full time. So I am very, very, very happy for her. Oh my God. Super excited. Let's see. Some of my patches take 3 hours to stitch for a single patch because yours have a lot of detail like that. Well, at the same time, too, you do slow down your machine a lot too, Bob. Yeah. Oh, actually, one patch, 6 hours, and it was a 7 by. That's a big patch. That's a huge one. And that's another thing too, guys. When we talk about patches, a lot of times people do patches that are like 3 inches by 3 inches, or 4 inches or 4 inches. But a patch can really be any size. I mean, I have seen people embroider patches that are huge, and then they sew it on the back of a jean jacket. I have seen that. So, usually you see small ones, but they're that's not the standard size. A patch can really be any size and stuff. So as you can see, Bob did a big one and everything. Sent you a message on the Etsy shop. Okay, I'll read it later and respond. Let's see. Going down. Hey, Eleanor, how are you? How you doing? I have the toilet and love it. Okay, well, I guess she uses it all the time. Then Eleanor, in the video, you need to let me know if I did something wrong because this is the first time that I'm gonna be using it, and I have it, and I had it in the box and stuff. I'm telling you, sometimes I get stuff, and I'm like, oh, should it got a little text here. I should have did something. So yeah, hold on 1 minute. I'm sorry guys. Got a little distracted here. Hold on. I guess I was right. Erica's having a light. Oh my goodness. I'm having water. Oh, there we go. Okay. Gotta go to Hobby Lobby tomorrow to get the sale. You'll have to wait till next week after next because the fabric sees alternates off and on weekly. Okay. Then I have to go tomorrow. Jenny. Not sure if I'm still I'm attending all brands. Oh, little chat going on. This weekend, I woke up every day thinking it's Sunday and I have to work tomorrow. Yeah, Erica is now going to be doing her business full time. So I'm pretty excited about her. And I'm hoping that I get to quit my job pretty soon too. But I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. I got a feeling I'm stuck, but I don't know. I could be wrong. You never know. Let's see. I'm going down. That tension game has saved me a lot of headache. Okay, so everybody's been using this. Okay, so see, everybody's been using this, and I've had this sitting in my house, okay, in my room, and I have it. So now I'm really gonna have to learn this. All right, so I am going to do it this weekend. This is my assignment, and I'm on it because I've had this thing, and I'm like, I don't think I need this anymore. But as I see Stitching with Hearts is saying she has used this a lot. So I got a feeling I'm going to have to start using this because I Yeah, it's kind of weird. I never used it. Never used it. Yeah. And I bought it too. Never used it. I'm gonna have to start doing that. So because I'm not working for a few months, which is great. She's on vacation. Erica's on vacay. Bob said I gotta use 60 weight on the hat, so I'm worried about that needle. Oh. Bob, this is what I would do. Buy an extra hat. Buy some extra hats and try, because if you have to use the 60 weight, chances are you're gonna have to use 69. Just slow down the machine, and I got a feeling the 65.9 needle should be okay. Because like I said, I have used the 75.11 needle on the hat, and I haven't had any breakage. So I think you should be okay. Yeah. So, but just go slow. I think she means micro needle. Yep, that's it. I did I say it wrong? I think I said it wrong. Storage room. Okay. Let's see. Beth, does your feline metallic require you to test each bobbins prior to testing? Are they a perfect tension? Do you sometimes need to adjust? I have not. Those are the bobbins that I use, and I have not had any issues with them. Sometimes I do adjust the tension on the case, but the only reason why is because I just been using it for so long that sometimes the screw on the case can just kind of loose, or if I drop the case, that can sometimes mess up the tension as well. So yeah, but I have not had to make any adjustments to my bobbin cases at all for those magnetic bobbins. I actually love those magnetic bobbins. I mean, those are the only ones that I will use. I did buy the regular bobbins. I have bought a whole bunch of bobbins from All Stitch, and I ended up packaging them all up and sending them over to Nancy to use on her sewing machine, because I'm just into these magnetic bobbins and stuff. So she's been using them for quilting. Hey Joanna, how are you? How you doing? Yes to the sound of your machine. It's just like your car. Yep. You learn what it's supposed to sound like. And when you're sitting in the room and you hear it, you're like, yep, yep, yep. And then when you hear something different, you're like, oh, something's up. And then you got to get up and you go over to the machine, because something's about to happen, or it skipped a stitch or something. So you really do learn the sound of those machines. I noticed that some of the feline are sometimes a little thicker than normal, and I have to remove some thread to fit in the bobbin kits. Marlene, that I have noticed. Yes. I had only one like that, where I was like, what the heck? But what I did was I just took that bobbin, instead of just taking out the threads and stuff, because I didn't want to waste the thread. I ended up just taking that bobbin and using that bobbin in my sewing machine on the SC1900, to sew. That's what I did. But I found one that got that way, that it was like thicker, and it had like a really tight fit in the bobbin case. And I was like, this ain't right. So I think they overdid it on that one. But all the other ones seem to be fine. But I experienced that as well and stuff. But I still love that. I she got her light. Oh, Erica. I tell you, I miss her. I really do. She doesn't work with me anymore. She used to sit behind me. We used to have so much fun. I gotta tell you, when people were saying, coming back to work, I liked it, because I gotta admit, when I go to work, I have a lot of fun with all my coworkers and stuff. So, but I really miss her. So I don't know who's gonna edit my memos now. I really don't. She was my editor. She was my editor when I was writing all that stuff, because you guys know my genetics, right? And I used to capitalize everything. All right, she took away my capitalized key on my keyboard at work, and so yeah. So now it's like I got to look for a new editor now. you know. Um, let's see. I get all my fabric from Hobby Lobby. I mainly use twill, but the thin printed cotton they sell works fine too. I also use the poplin, but I'm using that for the sewing projects. Okay, I'm gonna have to start going to Hobby Lobby. Now I don't have a choice. I didn't like shopping there. The reason is because they didn't offer the military discount. Joann's used to offer the military discount. Maybe that's why they're going out of business. I don't know. But anyway, but that's the whole thing. But I will say they do have reasonable prices. They do. So I'm just gonna have to go to Hobby Lobby. I know Michael's is starting to carry fabric, the one by me. So I'm gonna go start going there. So most likely what I'll do is I'll go to Michael's first, because Michael's still have their coupons and they have the military discount as well. So I'll probably go to Michael's first, and then I'll head over to Hobby Lobby, because Hobby Lobby, I'm sure, has a better selection right now than Michael's. So right now Michael's only has like one aisle and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. Um, and Hobby Lobby is closed on Sundays. Yes, so you gotta go on either during the weekend on Saturday. Yeah. Hey Gail, how are you? How you doing? I'm glad you're enjoying our time together and stuff. Erica said we are Wagger going. I think she will get the option to leave in less than 3 weeks. We shall see. I hope so. Because if I do, Erica, while you're sitting there having your beer, I will sit next to you and have a glass of wine. And while you're doing your cups, I will do my embroidery. I'll bring my little embroidery machine with me, and then we can just talk and hang out. She was my crafty buddy at work, and now I don't have nobody else to talk to about crafts anymore, and stuff, because me and her used to talk about all this stuff. She would tell me about her cups. I would tell her about my embroidery. I got no one to talk to. So it's like, it sucks. It's like you lose your best friend at work. I'm happy for her though. I thought it was like, I'm like, yes. Because I love it. I love seeing people succeed. And I could just, I don't know. I have this vision of her on Fortune magazine. I could see it. I could see it. I know right now she's probably laughing, going, really? Yeah. Well, if I lived close to her, I think I would push her. I would push her. And then we wouldn't be friends anymore, because she'll be like, you get on my nerves, which I know I probably got on her nerves at work. But hey, I already miss her. I miss working with her. No 6 weeks. Oh my goodness. Hi Jeanette. I switched to the magnetic. Oh, okay. The magnetic hoop. I love the magnets. So much fun. I missed you too. Aw, we'll definitely get together. Oh, you all, she shouldn't be allowed to have caps. Key. Yeah, I used to write all my memos, and I used to always capitalize certain words, right? And she would be like, you're not supposed to capitalize that. So she was my editor. She was my editor. And oh my God, never on my nerves. I will closer to you soon. Aw, I miss her. I miss her. That was my buddy. That was my buddy at work. We used to talk about our dogs. We used to talk about all that stuff. So yeah. But life changes, life moves on. But one of the things that I always learned is that when you have the special connection with certain people, even though your situation might change, like you no longer work together and stuff like that, but you remain friends and you always stay in contact and stuff like that. So I'm good with that, and everything. And I kind of like hanging out with Erica outside of work anyway, because I had a lot of fun when helping her set up when she was doing her craft fair in Manassas. That was a lot of fun. And then I would walk around and scope to see who else like who her competition was and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. So I can kind of like see me doing that with her in the future. So it would be really cool to have both side by side. So I could see it, but I gotta retire first. I have to retire. I really do. So guys, that is the topic that I have. I think I went down the whole chat, and it is, what is it? It's 9:30. So that's not bad. That's not bad. We started at 8, so we got an hour and a half. Yes, that's all I really have for you guys. So I already know for the assignment that I have is I am going to look into this because I do have it and I need it. And already you guys are in the chat saying that you guys swear by this baby. So now I'm like, I'm going to be mad if when I figure it out, I'm going to be like, oh, wow, this is cool. And I had this in my room all the time and I didn't use it. Okay. I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be like, really, Jeanette? Okay. So that's another common mistake, okay? So guys, I am going to say good night this evening. You guys have a great weekend. Have fun embroidery. Have fun sewing. And, remember, if you make a mistake, no big deal, okay? That's how you live and that's how you learn. So, just enjoy whatever it is that you're doing, all right? So you guys take care. And I will see you guys next Friday. All right. So you guys take care. Have a good one. And if you like today's video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I am trying so hard to get to 20,000K. Yeah, so I'm almost there. Almost. So hopefully I'll get there soon. So I will talk to you guys later. All right. You guys have a great weekend. See you later. Bye.